The defiant messenger. The orbital defense stations above Earth fell silent as the transmission ended. Admiral Thomas Garcia stared at the main view screen in Earth Command, his weathered face betraying no emotion despite the gravity of what they'd just learned. 57 alien warships had crossed the Kuiper Belt, approaching in tight formation. The hegemony had finally come. They'll reach lunar orbit in 16 hours, Lieutenant Commander Reeves reported, her voice steady despite the tension filling the command center. All colonial outposts have acknowledged the alert. Mars and Europa stations are initiating emergency protocols. Garcia nodded, his eyes never leaving the tactical display showing the approaching Armada. Humanity had known about the hegemony for decades, a coalition of 7 spacefaring species that controlled nearly a third of the Orion Arm. What they hadn't known was how the hegemony would react to humanity's recent quantum leap in propulsion technology. Has the Security Council made their decision? Garcia asked. Yes, sir. Operation Lone Wolf is authorized. Garcia allowed himself a thin smile. Alert Captain Chen. Tell her Defiant launches in 30 minutes. The Defiant sat nestled in its specialized hangar deep beneath the Pacific. Unlike the hulking battleships in Earth's defense fleet, this vessel was elegant, a sleek obsidian form with no visible weapons or propulsion systems. At just 200 meters long, it appeared almost fragile compared to the kilometer-long dreadnoughts that comprised Earth's conventional forces. Captain Nora Chen moved through the pre-launch checklist with practiced precision. At 38, she had already distinguished herself in the Martian crisis and the Europa expedition. Now, she faced humanity's greatest challenge with a crew of just 12 specialists. Final systems check complete, reported Commander Raj Patel, her second in command. Quantum core stable at 98% synchronization. Chen nodded, settling into the command chair. Navigation, plot intercept course. I want to meet them just past Neptune's orbit. Course plotted, Captain, replied Lieutenant Amara Okafor. Transit time estimated at 43 minutes. Comms, make sure our translation matrices are updated. I don't want any misunderstandings. Dr. Eleanor Santos, their xenolinguistics specialist, looked up from her station. I've integrated all 7 hegemony languages, Captain, plus the 3 dialects of Gatvorn trade speech. Chen took a deep breath. Initiate launch sequence. The hangar doors above them parted, revealing the night sky through a column of seawater. The Defiant rose silently, the ocean barely disturbing as the vessel ascended. There was no conventional engine flare, just a subtle distortion of light around the ship's hull as it accelerated vertically. Once clear of Earth's atmosphere, the Defiant's true capability manifested. Space seemed to ripple around it as the quantum drive engaged, and in an eye blink, the vessel had crossed the orbit of Mars. Another pulse and Jupiter receded behind them. With a final shift, they emerged in the cold darkness beyond Neptune, directly in the path of the oncoming hegemony fleet. We've been detected, Santos reported. They're adjusting course to intercept. Chen leaned forward slightly. Open a channel, all frequencies. The view screen flickered before resolving into the image of an alien being. Its skin was a pale blue, with ridges where a human might have eyebrows. 4 eyes blinked asymmetrically at Chen. This is War Commander Krelvor of the Hegemony Enforcement Fleet. The alien spoke, the translation coming through with only minimal delay. Identify yourself. I am Captain Nora Chen of the Earth vessel Defiant. I have been authorized to speak on behalf of humanity. The alien's upper eyes narrowed. A single vessel. Your species insults us. We detected your quantum transition events, technology forbidden to non-hegemony worlds. Surrender your research data and submit to immediate quarantine of your system or face eradication. Chen remained impassive. War Commander, we seek neither conflict nor domination. The Defiant comes as a messenger, not a threat. A messenger should know its place. Krelvor replied. Your vessel is surrounded by 57 warships, each capable of reducing your world to molten slag. What message could you possibly deliver? A demonstration. Chen nodded to Patil, who activated a sequence on his console. The space around the Defiant shimmered briefly. On the hegemony ships, alarms blared as their sensors detected a massive energy spike. What is the meaning of this? Krelvor demanded, a hint of concern breaking through his commanding demeanor. We've been studying quantum mechanics for longer than you might think, Chen replied. What you're detecting is a localized phase shift. The Defiant isn't just a ship. It's a focal point for a technology we call quantum boundary manipulation. The alien commander's composure faltered as data streamed across secondary displays. Impossible. Your species achieved spaceflight barely a century ago. And yet here we are. Chen's tone remained diplomatic but firm. The Defiant can generate a quantum field that alters the fundamental properties of spacetime within its radius. This demonstration is limited to just our immediate vicinity. A bluff. Krelvor growled, though uncertainty tinged his voice. If it were, would your sensors be reporting what they are now? Chen asked. War Commander, humanity doesn't want war. We want to join the galactic community as equals, not subjects. The Defiant could have appeared directly in the center of your formation, but we chose this approach instead. The alien's 4 eyes blinked in rapid succession, a sign of agitation. Santos had noted in her briefing. You have 24 Earth hours to submit your unconditional surrender. Any resistance will result in immediate hostilities. The transmission cut, and Chen leaned back in her chair. They're taking a defensive formation, Okafor reported, weapons systems powering up across the fleet. As expected, Chen replied. Dr. Santos, analyze their communications. I want to know what they're saying to each other. Already on it, Captain. They're concerned. The War Commander is ordering detailed scans of the Defiant. They're discussing the possibility that we have more ships with similar technology. Chen smiled slightly. And that's exactly what we want them thinking. Raj, initiate Phase 2. Phase 2 ready, Captain, Patil confirmed, his fingers dancing across his console. The Defiant's hull began to shimmer, the obsidian surface taking on an almost liquid quality. Throughout the ship, the quantum core pulsed with increasing energy. Transmitting data packet to Earth Command, reported Lieutenant Kim from the communication station. Confirmation received. Chen addressed her small crew. The next 24 hours will determine humanity's place in the galaxy. They expect us to retreat or to call for reinforcements. We'll do neither. Captain, Santos interrupted, I'm picking up increased communications among the fleet. They're deploying scout vessels to perform closer scans. Let them come, Chen replied. Maintain quantum field at current levels. Let's show them just enough to make them nervous, but not enough to reveal our full capabilities. As 3 smaller alien vessels approached, the Defiant remained motionless, a dark sentinel against the backdrop of distant stars. The quantum field surrounding it caused the scout ship's sensors to return contradictory readings, sometimes showing a vessel far larger than the Defiant's actual dimensions, sometimes showing nothing at all. They're launching some kind of probe, Okafor warned. No evasive action, Chen ordered. Let it approach. The probe, a spherical device barely a meter in diameter, moved slowly toward the Defiant. As it entered the quantum field, its transmission signal began to fluctuate wildly before cutting out entirely. The probe has been caught in a phase variance, Patil reported. Its atomic structure is realigning. On the alien command ship, Krelvor watched in disbelief as the probe seemed to dissolve, its component materials reorganizing into an inert mass of base elements. What kind of technology could do that? The High Council had assured him that humanity was barely past primitive fission power. This was something else entirely. War Commander, his second-in-command, approached cautiously. Perhaps we should reconsider our approach. If they can manipulate matter at the quantum level. Silence. Krelvor snapped. They have 1 ship. 1. We have a fleet. Prepare the main batteries. Target their vessel and fire on my command. Aboard the Defiant, Chen received the report of the aliens' preparations with calm determination. It appears diplomacy has failed, at least for now. All hands, prepare for Phase 3. This is what we trained for. As the hegemony vessels moved into attack formation, the Defiant seemed to pulse with an inner light. The quantum core at the heart of the ship reached full synchronization, and Captain Chen gave the order that would forever change humanity's place among the stars. Initiate quantum fold. Singularity's edge. War Commander Krelvor had participated in 17 planetary subjugations during his career with the Hegemony Enforcement Fleet. In each case, the display of overwhelming force had been sufficient. Most species surrendered after witnessing the destruction of a single orbital station or minor moon. Those that resisted were methodically crushed, their worlds placed under generational quarantine. But this was different. Target locked, his weapons officer reported. All vessels awaiting your command. Krelvor's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of finality among his kind. Fire. Across the Hegemony fleet, energy weapons discharged simultaneously, converging on the position of the lone human vessel. The combined firepower was enough to vaporize a small moon, a demonstration of force designed to end this confrontation before it truly began. But when the blinding flash of weapons fire dissipated, the Defiant remained untouched. Impossible, Krelvor hissed. Report. Our sensors indicate the energy was redirected, his science officer replied, mandibles clicking in confusion. The human vessel appears to be surrounded by some kind of quantum barrier. The energy from our weapons was absorbed or diverted. On the Defiant's bridge, Captain Chen remained focused despite the spectacular light show that had just enveloped her ship. Status report. Quantum field holding at 97%. Patel confirmed. Energy absorption successful. We could power New Shanghai for a year with what they just gave us. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Let's return the courtesy. Prepare for phase displacement. Lieutenant O'Keefe's hands moved across her console with practiced precision. Displacement coordinates locked. Ready on your command. Execute. For a brief moment, the Defiant seemed to lose definition, its edges blurring as though viewed through heat waves. Then it vanished. On the Hegemony command ship, alarms blared as sensors lost track of their target. Where did they go? Krelvor demanded. His answer came seconds later when the Defiant reappeared, directly in the center of the Hegemony formation. All vessels, evasive maneuvers. Krelvor ordered, but it was too late. The quantum field surrounding the Defiant expanded rapidly, enveloping the nearest alien ships. As it touched each vessel, strange effects manifested. Navigation systems failed, weapons powered down, and in some cases, hull materials began to reshape themselves at the molecular level. This is Captain Chen to the Hegemony fleet, her transmission cut across all channels. What you're experiencing is a controlled quantum phase disruption. Your ships are undamaged, but temporarily disabled. This is not an attack. It's a demonstration. On his command deck, Krelvor watched helplessly as a third of his fleet hung dead in space. What have you done to my ships? We've temporarily altered the quantum states of certain materials, Chen explained. The effect is reversible and non-harmful. Consider it a taste of what we could do if we actually meant to fight. The remaining Hegemony vessels moved to surround the Defiant, weapons trained on the human ship. You cannot defeat an entire fleet, Krelvor insisted, though his voice lacked its earlier confidence. We don't need to defeat you, Chen replied. We simply need you to understand what you're dealing with. Humanity doesn't want war, War Commander. We want recognition. As she spoke, Lieutenant Santos leaned closer to Chen. Captain, I'm detecting massive quantum signatures approaching from the direction of Earth. Chen nodded slightly before returning her attention to the alien commander. War Commander, look to your long-range sensors. Krelvor did, and what he saw made his blood run cold. 5 more signatures, identical to the Defiant's, had appeared at the edge of the solar system. You said you came alone, he accused. I said the Defiant came as a messenger, Chen corrected. I never claimed it was our only ship of this class. The Defiant was designed to demonstrate our capabilities without appearing overtly threatening. If that message has been misunderstood, the rest of Task Force Quantum is prepared to offer a clearer demonstration. Of course, Chen knew the truth. Earth had only managed to build one prototype with the new technology. The approaching signatures were nothing more than sophisticated quantum projections generated by relay stations throughout the solar system. But the hegemony had no way of knowing that. The High Council was misinformed about your technological development, Krelvor admitted after a tense silence. Perhaps negotiations would be appropriate after all. Chen's expression remained neutral, though inside she felt a surge of relief. I believe that would be in everyone's best interest. As a gesture of good faith, we'll restore your disabled vessels. With a nod to Patel, the quantum field surrounding the affected alien ships began to recede. One by one, their systems came back online. We request a formal delegation to meet with your leaders, Krelvor said, the formal tone suggesting he was following some predetermined diplomatic protocol. The hegemony grants temporary recognition to Earth pending these discussions. Agreed, Chen replied. You may bring a diplomatic party to our orbital station. We will transmit coordinates shortly. As the communication ended, the tension on Defiance Bridge finally broke. Lieutenant Kim was the first to speak. Did we just bluff the most powerful military force in this sector into diplomatic talks? Not entirely a bluff, Chen corrected, allowing herself to relax slightly. The Defiant's capabilities are real enough. We just implied we had more ships than we actually do. What happens when they discover the truth? Santos asked. By then, they'll already be committed to the diplomatic process, Chen replied. And in 6 months, the Ljubljana shipyards will have completed the next 5 vessels in the quantum class. Sometimes, you just need to buy time. The journey back to Earth orbit was considerably less tense than their outbound mission. As they approached the orbital defense platform that would host the upcoming negotiations, Chen gathered her crew for a final briefing. What we did today changes everything, she told them. Humanity won't enter the galactic stage as a subject species or a client state. Because of your efforts, we'll meet the hegemony as equals. Patel nodded in agreement. The quantum technology gives us parity, but it's how we used it that matters. We could have attacked, but we chose to demonstrate instead. Exactly, Chen said. The hegemony rules through fear and overwhelming force. Today we showed them there's another path, one where advanced technology doesn't have to mean domination. As the Defiant docked with the station, Admiral Garcia was waiting to greet them. Despite his usual stoic demeanor, he couldn't hide his pride as the airlock opened. Captain Chen, he said formally, before breaking into a rare smile. You've made history today. Just following orders, Admiral, she replied with a slight smile of her own. The Security Council is pleased, though some members are concerned about the bluff with the Phantom ships. The hegemony will discover the truth eventually. Chen nodded. By then, it won't matter. They've already acknowledged us as technological equals. Once the diplomatic process begins, resorting to force becomes much more complicated for them. 3 days later, the hegemony delegation arrived. Not just representatives from Krelvor's species, but emissaries from all 7 member races. They were greeted with formal ceremony, though many couldn't help but stare at the Defiant, docked prominently in view of the diplomatic chambers. As the negotiations began, news spread throughout Earth's colonies and beyond. Humanity had faced an overwhelming alien force with a single ship and prevailed not through superior firepower, but through innovation and strategic thinking. 6 months later, as predicted, the Ljubljana shipyards launched the second vessel of the quantum class. By then, 2 more species had broken from the hegemony to form separate alliances with Earth, attracted by the prospect of shared technology and mutual defense. Captain Chen watched from the observation deck as the new ship, Resolute, performed its space trials. Next to her stood Ambassador Krelvor, no longer war commander, but the hegemony's permanent diplomatic representative to Earth. "Your people move quickly," he observed, all four eyes focused on the sleek vessel. "We've had to," Chen replied. "Earth has always been divided, competitive. It made us adaptable. The High Council believes your quantum technology will destabilize the established order," Krelvor said. Chen turned to face him directly. "They're right. But what replaces that order doesn't have to be chaos. It could be something better. A community of equals instead of an empire of subjects." As the Resolute completed its maneuvers, Chen couldn't help but reflect on how much had changed because of one ship and one moment of courage. The Defiant had lived up to its name, and in doing so, had defied not just an alien armada, but the very future that had seemed inevitable. Humanity had answered a fleet with a single ship, and in that answer lay the promise of a new kind of interstellar civilization.